Did any of you know Dexter's Michael Hall also played as John F. Kennedy? Or maybe you knew about his role as a creepy bowler in this documentary. Oh, you didn't know any of that? It's okay, baby girls, because as someone that's reviewed hundreds of actors, today I'm gonna take you through Michael Hall's entire acting journey and analyzing if he gave his roles the performance they deserve. Because trust me, baby girls, some of these characters he plays are genuinely insane. Take for example his first ever role in 2001, where he plays a secretly gay funeral director named David. This role is the perfect mix of Michael acting like Dexter, but with just a hint of humanity. Do you see how there is this life in his eyes? How his entire eye area is lifted up along with that smile? His expression is very noticeable when you compare it directly against Dexter's face. A face that lacks any of that uplift. And paying even closer attention, there's an innocence in his eyes that truly comes out when Michael Hall lets them be soft. But even though this is his first role, there's clearly a reason he was chosen to be Dexter just a year later. Because in this ordinary role, there's still a psychopath hidden underneath. Michael Hall, even in his first role, has that strong eye contact of looking people up and down. And Michael Hall is very thoughtful, shown by these long pauses he does to show the process of thinking.
Let's get a room with a Haverford in and fuck our brains out. How about it?
Jesus.
Something he would do a bunch also as Dexter. And the fact that in his first role, he understood how much emotion is in his eyes and how to control that is insane. It reminds me of this 1960s movie called Eyes Without a Face, where the only real part of this girl's face was her eyes, which gave a perfect example to show you how much emotion is within them, even when she was doing nothing but just looking around. If I saw this, I'd be like, oh, hey girl, like, oh, you're coming on to me. But she's literally just looking. She's looking, but the eyes have that aura. You get what I'm saying? They have such a passion behind them. And something else he was tremendously good at early on is his voice. From day one, we can already tell it's just expressionless.
May I ask what kind of car your husband prefers?
Which does make sense because, like I said, in this role, he's a funeral director. So he has to stay calm in front of these people who just lost their loved ones. Like, hey, it's okay. You're not gonna see him again. You're gonna be lonely forever. You're gonna be miserable, but let's be happy. You know, you gotta just motivate them. And considering everything I mentioned so far and the fact this is his first ever appearance, this is S tier.
Jesus, don't you feel anything?
Yeah.
And with a successful 5 years in the show, his very next role would somehow be Dexter Morgan himself. Even I couldn't believe he was this new when he became this infamous killer. It is genuinely phenomenal. Almost as phenomenal as his performance in this show. Where do you guys want me to even begin? Perhaps we can talk about how the intense eye contact from the first role returned, but 10 times harder here, which really eradicated and removed all life from his eyes, that life we were mentioning earlier. And this lifeless character is brought out through so many other secret tricks. Have you ever noticed how awkwardly still he actually stands, even in the middle of a conversation with someone? It's such a purposely acted move because it's so different from a regular human being. If I'm talking directly to you, you will naturally just look away here and there. You'll fidget with your hands, you'll kick your feet around on the pavement, you won't stand this still. And since Michael is clearly an expert at being emotionless, whenever emotion is about to come out, watch how he masterfully stops it by dropping and relaxing his eyebrows.
I've been through a lot lately.
If you've seen Severance, it's exactly like Adam Scott getting super hyped up in the elevator and then returning to nothing. I know you guys are so blown away. Oh my god, Kosho, you're so smart and like good looking. Oh my god. But don't worry, baby girls. There's even more to say. Because a true psycho has a rageful element behind them. And sure enough, Michael Hall was able to bring that rage out in such a vulnerable way. Here he sees his dead dad in his visions, and his response to him is this shoulder jitter that he can't help, rocking his body back and forth while he's on his knees. This isn't a normal type of yelling rage. It's a loss of mental stability. And I always have love for actors that can show sadness without doing the typical cry or the typical yelling. And the good actors have clearly understood that. Nick Chavez also does the same shoulder dropping when he's crying in the courtroom, letting out such a deeper emotion using the body itself. His performance as Dexter itself is also very much S tier. I want to quickly mention one of the reasons his roles have even worked so far is because it doesn't look like Michael Hall is trying very hard. He's able to bring feelings on screen using these subtle tricks that I talked about. In this acting book talks exactly about that and says when the actor is seen working hard to bring a role to life harder than viewers might think ideal, she is also more than apparently working. And when we can see them actually putting in effort into a role, it starts to look more like a job, if that makes sense. The glamour of the presentation evaporates. And yeah, it's a key point I want you baby girls to know, and it's one of the secret reasons behind its success. Because now the video is about to take a very, very weird turn. After Dexter ended in 2013, there wasn't many roles outside of the Dexter role that Michael Hall would play in until 2017, where he'd act as John F. Kennedy in the show called The Crown. And right off the bat, his accent change is genuinely impressive, perfectly nailing the Boston accent John F. Kennedy himself had.
Great American values, freedom, tolerance, and equality of opportunity.
I also love the subtle way he pouts his lips here. It's something many people overlook, but this pouting of lips is just a thing many presidents just do. And I'm not a president, so I don't know why, but they do it. And also, for an actor that's mainly had slow roles where you take a pause and you really think, you process, his switch to rapid speech was very, very refreshing.
It risked her reputation and gone to Ghana against all advice to bring President Nkrumah back on side, but she did.
One thing he did bring back from his past acting is this strict movement and robotic head turn, which actually ended up helping him a lot and making him look like a professional, exactly like a president should be moving. A tier. A tier. I think it's A tier. And yeah, before we proceed, guys, make sure you click the red button down there. It's called subscribe something. Click it right now. Because now, let's get dark again. It's clear the darkness is where Michael Hall thrives. Just a year after his role as president, he'd produce and cast himself in this investigative show called Safe, where Michael is a father to two daughters, one of them who mysteriously goes missing after sneaking out to a party, and it's now up to him to find his rebellious daughter. And for the first time in his career, I'd say, because of this sad situation, Michael Hall gives a performance with real empathy. Look how deep his eyebrows get here, displaying the concern he has for his daughters. And this isn't a one-time thing. He had worry in his eyes throughout the entire show. Sometimes he'll even take it to a point of visibly frowning like this, which is almost foreign to see him do because Dexter would never make a face actually like this. But I'd say the true magic behind this role is how he can show a sad father with these secret hidden tricks. For example, when he's speaking to his daughter, see how big his eyes can truly get? Or this close-up shot of his face, there's this slight twitching you can analyze across the jawline, across the cheek, as he thinks of his missing daughter. Remarkable. I'd actually say, unlike Dexter and any of his other roles, this Netflix show did the best job at using these close angles with these very soft light to bring out the internal emotions on screen. It's much easier to see that connection with the character. And yeah, I don't know if you guys agree, but like I'm pretty turned on right now. I don't know, just me? Okay. Okay, this is A tier as well. Phenomenal sadness. I just don't think there is enough context to give it S. But now it's clear Michael Hall was getting too phenomenal and too advanced for these lighthearted roles. So 1 year later, he took things up an entire notch. He became a professional bowler, earning the serious role in this unique show that makes fun of documentaries called Documentary Now. And okay, jokes aside, even though this is more of a funny role, I can't actually analyze it. It's funny how the same direct eye contact and the same awkward body language he shows in his past roles comes back here, but in a funny way, because the setting itself is funny. For example, the return of his sinister dead eyes. When he shows them in a bowling rink, it wasn't scary, it was awkward.
You know, Chad, sometimes I wonder what's going on behind those dead eyes of his.
The world may never know.
His dark behavior didn't change, but since everything around him changed, the result itself is a pervy bowler. That's the result.
Keep my sister and me locked in the basement so no one would know he'd left us there and try to come take us away. And I'd pick up these little pebbles and try to throw them through the window and hit a street sign across the alley.
Yeah, I'm obviously not gonna actually rank this one. But yeah, baby girls, after this role in 2019, he only had one other minor role in this war-related show. But there isn't really much to mention in it besides his impressive accent change. Whether it's him as a British man here,
Just me being curious, why take this assignment? I'm sorry to hear that. What did the State Department tell you?
or him with an even thicker English accent in this earlier role we talked about.
So if it's a choice between doing that or respecting her privacy, it's an easy choice. I know she's a tough kid, but the grief she's bottled up.
It's a truly impressive change you guys need to appreciate. I want you guys to go text your friends and tell them, oh, I know every Michael Hall role now, by the way. I think that they're gonna respond with, you're so cool, you're so handsome, all of that. So yeah, let them know. This right here is the final ranking of every Michael C. Hall role ever. Let me know your thoughts on his acting career and any roles you specifically like, and make sure you click this playlist filled with all my other acting reviews. I love you, baby girls. Hit the subscribe button and I'll see you next time. Deuces.